One morning, the air was cool and still beneath the Bodhi tree. The Buddha sat, his posture serene and steady. I approached with humility, my heart heavy with questions about life's endless suffering. The Buddha motioned for me to sit near. "Disciple, tell me what troubles your thoughts today," he said, his voice calm like a gentle stream. I hesitated, then replied, "Master, I seek understanding of why suffering clings to our existence without reprieve." The Buddha gazed into the distance before speaking. To understand suffering, we must first look deeply within ourselves. He picked up a dry leaf from the ground, turning it in his hands with great care and reverence. "Do you see this leaf? Fragile and broken?" he asked. "Its current state is a result of impermanence." I nodded, unsure of his intent. The Buddha smiled faintly, sensing my uncertainty. "Impermanence shapes all things. Nothing remains unchanged," he continued. "Many suffer because they resist this natural truth, clinging to what is fleeting and fragile." The words lingered in the air, heavy with meaning. I absorbed their significance with growing clarity and respect. "Master, how does one accept this truth without despair overtaking their spirit?" I inquired, yearning for guidance. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, his breathing measured and tranquil. "Through awareness, we transform despair into understanding and peace." He gestured toward the landscape before us, where trees swayed and birds flitted from branch to branch. "The world is alive with change," he said. "Each moment births something new and lets go of what was." I observed the scene, noticing the movement of the wind and the rustling of leaves. It felt profound. "Master, does such awareness remove suffering entirely, or only soften its presence in our lives?" I asked with curiosity. The Buddha opened his eyes and looked directly into mine. "Suffering exists, but mindfulness allows us to respond skillfully." He explained further, "When we awaken to the truth of impermanence, our attachment loosens, and suffering diminishes its hold." I reflected deeply on these words, sensing their power and possibility. My heart felt lighter with hope and determination. The Buddha reached for a small bowl of water beside him, holding it up to catch the sunlight. "See how the light dances in the water," he said. "It exists only in this moment and then changes." He placed the bowl back on the ground gently. "Do we mourn the fading light, or cherish its beauty now?" I realized the profound simplicity of his words, understanding the preciousness of each fleeting moment in life. "Master, how can one maintain such awareness in the chaos and distractions of daily living?" I asked. The Buddha smiled kindly. "Through practice, my disciple. The breath is your anchor amidst the storm of life's turbulence." He instructed, "Begin with observing your breath. Its rhythm guides you into presence and steadies the restless mind." I closed my eyes and followed his guidance, tuning into the subtle flow of air entering and leaving me. The Buddha's voice became softer, almost like a whisper. "With each breath, remind yourself of life's impermanent yet wondrous nature." As I continued breathing mindfully, a sense of stillness enveloped me, like a calm lake undisturbed by winds. The Buddha observed silently, allowing the experience to unfold naturally. His patience was infinite, his presence deeply reassuring. "Awareness begins with small moments like this," he said after a while. "It grows into a lasting refuge over time." I opened my eyes, feeling a profound shift within. The world seemed clearer, more vibrant, and alive with possibility. "Master, is awareness alone sufficient for liberation?" I asked, eager to understand the path more completely. The Buddha shook his head gently. "Awareness is the seed, but compassion and wisdom are needed for its flowering." He rose slowly, gesturing for me to follow him along a shaded path that wound through the forest. As we walked, he pointed to a tree bent under the weight of its heavy branches. "Observe this tree. The tree bears its weight without complaint. Yet it flourishes because it remains rooted and resilient, he explained. He turned toward me. Awareness grounds you, but compassion uplifts others and wisdom guides your steps forward. I nodded, feeling the depth of his teachings sink into my heart like rain nourishing parched soil. A young speaker's voice quivered with uncertainty. Yet the elder listened without interruption, their attention unwavering and genuine. True understanding begins with attention. The gift of fully hearing without dismissing or interrupting, Buddha said softly to his disciples. Do you see how the water adapts to the stones, yet continues its journey unbroken? He asked. Yes, Master, I replied. The water moves freely, unhindered by obstacles in its path. The Buddha smiled. Be like water, my disciple, flexible yet persistent, aware yet unyielding in your practice. I stood by the stream, watching its flow and contemplating the wisdom of his words. They felt timeless and true. The Buddha placed a hand on my shoulder. This path is not without challenges, but each step deepens your understanding. He concluded. Awareness is the beginning, a seed planted in the fertile ground of your effort and sincerity. I bowed deeply, gratitude filling me for the clarity and wisdom shared in this sacred moment with the enlightened. 1. With renewed purpose, I resolved to carry these teachings forward, nurturing the seed of awareness into a life transformed. Another day. The sun rose softly, bathing the land in golden light. The Buddha stood among his disciples. Serene and watchful, we gathered around him, sensing his calm presence as a sign of another profound teaching to come. The air was still. Today we walk, the Buddha declared, his voice steady. We set out through fields, forests, and meadows, following his quiet lead. Eventually, we reached a small village, where the signs of hardship were everywhere. The people approached us with weary faces. Master, one villager said, we struggle with famine and disease. Our hope fades with each passing day. What can we do? The Buddha listened intently, his gaze soft and compassionate. He turned to us, his disciples, as if to involve us all. What do you see here? He asked, his voice inviting reflection. We hesitated, unsure of the answer he sought. A disciple spoke, Master, we see suffering and despair. Their plight reminds us of the truth of dukkha, life's inherent struggle. The Buddha nodded. Yes, suffering is evident, but do you see beyond it? Look not only with your eyes, but your heart. We tried to see as he instructed, letting compassion guide our understanding. Slowly, we began noticing something deeper in the villagers. Their expressions, though marked by struggle, held traces of resilience and longing for connection. The Buddha seemed to sense our realization. Compassion arises not by pity, but by recognizing our shared humanity, the Buddha said. In their suffering, we find our own. He asked us to share our small provisions with the villagers. Though it was not much, the act of giving felt transformative. The villagers received the offerings with gratitude, their faces brightening with hope. Unity replaced the air of despair that had enveloped them. As evening fell, the Buddha gathered us under a large tree. The villagers seated nearby, listening with quiet attentiveness. Compassion is the bridge between self and others, he began. Through it, we transcend the barriers of separation and foster true unity. One villager raised his hand timidly. Master, does compassion mean sacrificing oneself entirely for the sake of others? He asked with concern. The Buddha smiled gently. Compassion does not demand self-neglect. It thrives in balance, where care for oneself and others coexist harmoniously. He turned to the villagers. You have suffered much, yet you supported one another even in hardship. This is the seed of compassion. A disciple asked, Master, how do we sustain compassion in moments when the weight of suffering feels overwhelming to bear? The Buddha paused, his gaze steady and kind. by returning to the breath, anchoring ourselves in the present moment of awareness. He continued, compassion is not a fleeting emotion. It is a practice, cultivated through mindful intention and steady dedication. The villagers began sharing stories of their struggles and acts of kindness they had witnessed. Among themselves, their words felt like healing. We listened, moved by their resilience and interconnectedness. The Buddha encouraged this exchange, letting wisdom emerge organically among the gathered people. To give and to receive, both require courage, the Buddha said. In doing so, we honor the interdependence that binds all beings. As the villagers spoke, we disciples noticed how the act of sharing softened their suffering. Their hope began to take root. A child approached the Buddha shyly, holding out a small flower. Its petals bright against the evening's fading light, the Buddha accepted the flower with reverence. His face radiant with gratitude, he turned to the crowd, holding it up gently. This flower symbolizes the essence of compassion, he said. Its beauty exists not for itself, but to uplift all who see it. He placed the flower before the villagers. Let this remind you of the power of compassion to transform even the heaviest burdens. A disciple leaned closer to ask, Master, how can we carry this lesson into the wider world, where suffering seems endless? The Buddha replied, begin with small acts, like this flower's presence. Each small act ripples outward, touching lives beyond our knowing. As night deepened, the villagers lit small lamps, their light flickering warmly. Together, we sat in meditation, immersed in the stillness. The Buddha's voice carried softly through the night air. In compassion, we find freedom. In helping others, we heal ourselves as well. When dawn arrived, the villagers bid us farewell with expressions of gratitude that radiated from their renewed spirits. As we departed, the Buddha spoke to us, his disciples. This village reflects the interconnected nature of all life. Their recovery is our recovery. We walked in silence, each step a meditation, carrying the lesson of compassion in our hearts, ready to share it further. The Buddha looked back at the village one last time before turning forward. Compassion is boundless, a light that never dims. I felt the truth of his words echoing within me. A quiet resolve to embody this teaching in all that lay ahead. Another day. The morning was quiet, with a light mist enveloping the land. The Buddha sat by a lotus pond. We approached him with a sense of unease. A disagreement among us had grown, and harmony seemed lost in our group. The Buddha glanced at us, sensing the tension that hung in the air like a heavy cloud. His gaze was serene. What troubles you, my disciples? He asked gently, his voice like a soft wind, easing the burden of our minds. One disciple spoke, Master, we differ in our understanding of the teachings. Our arguments have caused discord among us. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, his breathing steady and calm. He then opened them, observing us with deep compassion. Come closer, he said, gesturing for us to sit near him by the edge of the lotus pond. He reached into the water and lifted a single lotus flower, its petals glistening with morning dew, vibrant and delicate. Look at this flower, he said. Its beauty captivates, but its essence cannot be fully understood through words alone. The group fell silent, drawn into the profound simplicity of the moment. The Buddha continued, wisdom arises not from debate, but from clarity. He held the flower gently, turning it in his hand. The lotus emerges from the mud, untouched by it, yet deeply connected. I pondered his words, sensing a truth beyond their surface meaning. The lotus seemed to hold an answer to our discord. Master, I asked, how can we find unity when our interpretations of the Dharma differ so greatly? The Buddha's smile was subtle but radiant. Unity is not born of agreement but of mutual respect and understanding. He placed the lotus back into the water, watching it float gently on the surface. Observe how it adapts to the current. The lotus is still connected to the pond, yet it remains centered, he said. This is the way of wisdom. Another disciple spoke. But Master, how do we cultivate such wisdom amidst our differing views and personal struggles? The Buddha stood and motioned for us to follow him into a grove nearby, where sunlight filtered through the trees. Sit, he said, and close your eyes. We will meditate on the nature of our minds and the source of discord. We obeyed, sitting cross-legged beneath the trees. The forest was alive with the sound of birds and rustling leaves. Turn your attention inward, the Buddha instructed. Observe the thoughts that arise, like clouds passing across an open sky. At first, my thoughts were scattered, filled with the echoes of our arguments and the weight of unresolved conflicts, but as I continued to breathe and observe, the thoughts began to dissipate, leaving a sense of spaciousness and clarity. The Buddha's voice guided us. In this stillness, recognize that each thought is transient, like ripples in a pond. He added, when we cling to our views, we create suffering. Let go, and see beyond the confines of thought. The meditation deepened, and a profound stillness settled among us. The tension that had bound us began to dissolve. After some time, the Buddha spoke again. Now open your eyes and look around. What do you see in each other? We hesitated, then began to look at one another, truly seeing the faces of those we had called our companions. The faces you see are not your adversaries, the Buddha said. They are mirrors, reflecting your own humanity and struggles. One disciple, tearfully, said, Master, I see my own stubbornness in them. I clung to being right and forgot compassion. The Buddha nodded, his expression gentle. When we see ourselves in others, we awaken to the truth of interconnectedness. Another disciple added, I see their sincerity. Despite our disagreements, their intent was to honor the Dharma, not to divide us. The Buddha smiled softly. Understanding grows when we look beyond the surface. Wisdom blossoms when the heart embraces the whole. He stood again, leading us back to the lotus pond. The sunlight had grown stronger, illuminating the water's surface brilliantly. The Buddha picked up another lotus flower and held it before us. Do you see its many petals? He asked. We nodded, drawn to the intricate layers that formed the flower's beauty. Each petal seemed distinct, yet part of a whole. Each petal is like a perspective, the Buddha said. Different, yet all contributing to the flower's unity and essence. He continued, the Dharma is like this lotus. It holds many truths, yet they are all bound by a deeper oneness. I felt his words resonate deeply within, as if a veil had been lifted from my understanding. The world felt clearer. Master, how can we carry this wisdom forward, so our differences no longer divide us? I asked, humbled by his teaching. The Buddha placed the flower back into the water. Through mindfulness and compassion, honor the diversity of views as part of unity. He turned to us, his gaze steady and kind. Remember, wisdom is not a destination, but a journey of unfolding awareness. As we bowed deeply before him, I sensed that our hearts were lighter, our spirits more aligned with the path of truth. The Buddha concluded, like the lotus, wisdom grows in the mud of life, yet it blooms untouched, radiant, and complete. The moment lingered, the ripples in the water reflecting our transformation. I vowed to embody this teaching in every step forward. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.